All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. So we'll do our disclaimer here at the beginning. This is not financial advice. It's consult a financial person, not legal advice. Consult an attorney. And we are filming, and so we do replay it. So if you're uncomfortable, if you're speaking on camera, if you want to turn it off, you can, whatever. But we will replay it or record it and share it back into the group. So first thing we want to talk about is wins. Do we have any wins? I know. Travis and I had one. What was it, Sunday? Yeah, Sunday. Um, kind of, worked out pretty good. It's kind of an unusual deal. We kind of had a deal going on it. We had a particular number that we'd offered them. The people came in from what, Georgia, was it? Where was it? Georgia, right? They came in from Georgia. But we had a due diligence and we never could really get together on the due diligence, like to get in to look at it. We go look at the property, I go look at it, and we were just too high on the property. It was just too much. And so we came back $20,000 under to the people. And so Travis made the offer back to them and I left. And so we talked after we both left the property, and it was like, Travis, so what do you think? And I said, oh man, we'll get a call for the days out. They're gonna take the offer. So anyway, they did take the offer. It was a good deal. It was a three-way house. You hear me talk about a three-way house. A three-way house is we could potentially rent it, we can flip it, we can wholesale it. We could make money out of a bunch of different ways. So that's the type of properties that we try to buy. If you want to add anything to it, Travis, go ahead. You've been in that deal a lot longer than I have. So
Yeah, man. So this lead came through two different ways. It came through online, like PPC. I think it was PPL that we were doing. We don't do PPL anymore. That's pay per lead. But I think this came through pay per lead. And when I contacted the seller, they weren't interested at the time. That was like a year ago. And
right.
then it came through Facebook. Like they found me through Facebook somehow. They messaged me maybe a post that I did. And I get in there and I take a look at it. But I was wrong, period. I was wrong on my numbers. That's why we had to renegotiate. So I've been doing this 8 years and I was still wrong. So that's just a lesson that no matter what, you can never really be for sure on these numbers. You got to be as close as you can and you got to be as honest as you can. You can't go into these deals planning to renegotiate with somebody. Like, oh, I'm just going to get them under contract and get them as low as I can later. Like, that wasn't the goal here. I really thought that we could do 95, and then David comes out and just shuts me down completely. So that's just my lesson is no matter what, like, you don't have to be all the way on with the numbers, but you do have to have a team of people that you can rely on. Like I have David, we have realtors, we have an auctioneer. So all of these people help us. So now that me and David, we've agreed to this price and we have it under contract and we have a real due diligence period now we can figure out what our options are. So now we can have our agent go look at it. We can have an auctioneer go look at it. Or David's contractor can go look at it. So now we can really figure out what our plan is with this property and how we're going to make money on it. But like David said, either way, we're going to make money because it's a good deal in a good neighborhood. So if you're focused in neighborhoods where the cost per square foot is above average for the area and people really love it, it's an established neighborhood. It's hard to go wrong when you get it at a good discount. And when you're buying your price per square foot lower than anywhere else in the neighborhood, you know, and you can only do that by doing some advertising, getting some people to contact you. This wasn't a cold call. These people opted in to sell their house, and that's powerful. So that's all I really got to say about that. Does anybody have any wins they'd like to share?
just just so people know, when people ask me all the time, how do you know when you got a good deal? Well, when you got a good deal. You just know. I mean, you would have to be a knucklehead not to make money. That's how you know when you have the right deal on a property. So if you have to sit there and say, well, run the numbers again, let me look at it, let me think, you're too high. You're too high. And if you're a wholesaler, you're too high. You're not going to sell that property to someone like me. You're too high. So I tell all new wholesalers, whatever you think the number is, 20,000 under. Now you're in business. Now you can sell that property quickly to someone like myself that's an end buyer that's going to do something with it or whatever. So always remember that. Whatever you think it is starting out, you're probably too high, in a lot of markets. So anyway, anybody else got any wins they'd
Or
like to
Yeah,
share?
okay.
I got a win. We have our lake house property in Minnesota, 63 acres that turned into a development of 8 lots, and we just got a strong offer on it. So that was an exciting thing for today.
All right. Congratulations, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Well, that's
Yeah, we,
awesome.
we like wins.
What else you working on, Eric?
Well, it's mostly just lending, but the way I like to lend is that it's good news if they pay me back, and it's good news if they don't. you know like if they pay back, obviously that's what every lender wants. It's easy and simple, but for this one, they we didn't get paid back, but the property was worth quite a bit more as is. But it was 63 acres on a lake in Minnesota, like Prior Lake region. So we realized that it was going to be a whole ton of work to split it into 8 lots, but it would sell for a whole lot more. So that's basically what we've been doing the past 6 months, is splitting it into the 8 lots. Four of them are now lakefront lots, and four of them are like upper ones. So that's what we worked on. Not our full-time thing by any means. We're not developers. We don't know the development space, but we at least knew enough that chunking it up would be a lot better. So we did that.
Okay, very good. All right.
Matt,
Did Matt have something?
yeah. Go
Yeah.
ahead, Matt.
Can you guys hear me okay? I'm on my headset. I've never used it before. On okay. Um, I don't have I'm zooming on my phone and my computer. My computer doesn't have a camera. My phone, the mic doesn't work. So I'm like, okay.
Okay.
Back to what David said with wholesaling. Do you think that instead of just lowering the price, you know, wholesalers are famous for scalping the buyer and trying to get a ton out of the property and always overcharging? Do you not think that it'd be better for these wholesalers to understand to underwrite their deals towards the buyers versus just cutting 20 grand off of whatever assignment they had? Me and Drew write up all of our deals. We listed at like 15 to 20K spread. And we've been getting a lot of like asking price on our
Mhm.
wholesale assignments. I think the problem would be wholesalers not underwriting their deals properly, forcing a deal and then asking for too much.
I would agree with that. And we, in a lot of markets like ours, when you're in these small markets, what I mean by that is, you can drive around the corner and get on the next street and you're almost in a different market here.
Yep.
So lots of times when wholesalers really don't know the market here, you kind of run into that sort of thing. So it's these smaller markets. You know how it is, Matt. You can go on the west side here in Charleston, and one street's good, next street's not.
Yeah,
So yeah,
definitely.
so that's kind of
Definitely.
what we get into, and it's what I see a lot of new wholesalers that's calling me and trying to sell deals to me and stuff. Is they're just and I don't know what they're doing on the back end, but they may be asking too much on the back end too for their part or whatever. But yeah.
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 Um, something that me and Drew, so I'm mostly acquisitions and I talk to very little buyers unless just like, I mean, I've talked to Preston about a deal recently, but I'm not like a dispo guy. Um, Drew, what we're doing is we're trying to have a really close relationship with buyers to the point of where we sit down with all of them for 30 minutes and we'll go over how they write up their deals so that we know if like we're doing Greensboro area and some stuff in Georgia. And so I know that like the buyers all want to make 30 to 40 off of a flip. They all want this percent rule off of a rental property. So whenever we're going back to the seller, we're locking up deals not based off what we can sell it for, but what those buyers are buying it for, if that makes sense. And so I think
Mhm.
that's the main problem with wholesalers is they're they just think, oh, this will sell for this much, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. So I guess I try to our flips. We want to be like 30 to 40 on a flip. That's our spread on a flip. Um,
Right. And I agree. And as wholesalers, it's very important that we've talked about this before, that you establish yourself with some buyers, with some end buyers and understand their buy box and what they're looking for. And, guys that buy rental, men and women that buy rental and different things and what they're looking for and, what the percentages is and stuff. And when you do that, I think you got a much better chance when you're out there, trying to wholesale stuff or assign stuff to end buyers. for sure. Anybody else got any wins?
I've, I've got I've got a couple since last week.
Okay, let's hear
I was
'em.
just kind of following up on what you did. We closed on a flip in cross lanes, and then we are. Um, I know for a fact that we're going to lock up one in South Charleston, so that'll be our. We're trying to do 3 a month. Well, really, the number is 2.5 per month, so 30 this year. And
Mhm.
so coming into January, we'll have one in cross lanes and one in South Charleston. So we're looking for our third right now for January.
Very good. Congratulations, man.
Thanks.
Hey Matt, I'd like for you, if you don't mind, put your phone number, or I'll connect you after this. I got a guy on here named Daryl. Daryl's on here. I met him yesterday, and he works the Macon market, and I'd love to connect you two to see how you guys can provide value to each other.
Dude, Daryl, I'm guarantee you, me and you have looked at so many of the same properties if you're in Macon. I would love
Yes,
to.
sir.
I'll put my number in here right now.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, anybody else got anything any wins they'd like to talk about?
I see Tony on here. I know Tony has some wins. He has to have something going on. He's a busy guy up in Cincinnati. What you got working on, Tony? Can you talk? I think you might be muted still.
Yeah, I got a few deals working here in Cincinnati. Got man, we have a cold caller that's been reaching out today, and our contact rate is through the roof today. This is wild. I guess because everybody's on vacation, people just want to answer the phone. I don't know what's going on, but getting a lot of high contact rate today.
A lot of people don't want to call today. What days do you call? What days don't do you guys not
Yeah.
call?
Every day we call every day. It don't matter. Nah, maybe not Christmas, but Christmas Eve.
Okay.
We'll reach out. Thanksgiving, we may reach out in the morning. You know what I mean, while everybody's at home. But other than that, it's all free game.
There's somebody out there that needs you today, right? I
That's
mean,
right. Hey,
that's
they might need to sell a property.
that's what's up. So, how can you help people if they have something in Cincinnati? I know you do boots on the ground, you do JVs, right? Or I know
Yeah,
you want to go, you're starting a second market in Dayton.
yeah, starting in Dayton, but yeah, I can, JV, be boots on the ground. I'm also a real estate agent, so if anybody's got anything that they want to list on market or anything like that, they can reach out to me as well.
Awesome. So Tony and I've never done a deal with Tony, but we know each other from TTP. Brent
Hmm.
Daniels, we're in the Rhino tribe together. So Tony knows how to talk to people. He knows how
Yeah,
to
right.
close. So if you need somebody in Cincinnati or
Mhm.
Dayton, Tony is your guy for sure.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate
I,
that.
I appreciate you coming on here, man.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a good lesson. We always, my previous years as a real estate broker, we always said that when we got calls from people through the holidays, those were always the best calls. A lot of motivation there. So, anybody else? Okay. All right. I guess from here we can kind of move forward. We're going to talk a little bit about, fast money, medium money, slow money. And along the way, if you have questions, if we kind of pique your interest in anything, feel free to raise your hand and we'll get your questions answered. Hopefully somebody in the group or us will answer it for you. So go ahead, Trav.
I'm gonna share the screen for you, man.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, we were talking about, three different types of money, okay? And in small markets like we're in West Virginia and a lot of other areas, we feel that you really kind of got to be involved in all three types of money, to be successful because we don't traditionally have enough deals, to sustain you in any one particular type of money. So, the fast money, of course, that's the short-term money, it's the bill paying money, it's the wholesaling, it's the signing, it's, the quick flips, JVs, stuff like that, and those types of deals give you momentum, it gives you confidence, they're great deals and most people start out doing those type of deals. But once again, it's not easy money either. It can be very tough, time consuming, stuff like that. So Um, this fast money does keep you alive, does keep your bills paid and stuff like that. So that's where most people start. Um, Go ahead to the next one here. Try how do we keep everybody? Yeah. Yeah, the medium money, that's the fix and flips, land developments. We've been trying to do some land, mobile home land deals here because we have a high demand for, mobile home on land here in West Virginia around Charleston, Huntington. The Burr strategies, seller finance deals are always good. Um, Short-term rentals, Airbnb. I've done some Airbnb in my time. So if you have questions about Airbnb, I might be able to help you some, in that arena as well. Um, but all of these are different types of plays that I think if you're in the smaller markets, you got to kind of be acquainted with, and you got to kind of get yourself into these types of deals. On the next one. Then the slow money, of course, is the big rental portfolios, mobile home parks, long-term notes, all that different thing. And that's where you acquire your wealth, is in these long-term type plays like this. Also, when you're doing the short-term and the medium type money, the short and the fast and the medium type money, the rental properties, these rental portfolios and stuff like that, they really help you tax-wise. So, um, people say, "Oh, do you make, your rentals and stuff? Oh, I want this. I want to make big cash flow. I want to do these things." Well, sometimes I'm going to say stuff that's maybe not the most politically correct. I might not follow gurus and stuff out here, but I've been in the business about as long as anybody, and cash flowing in rentals is a bit of an anomaly, if you will. So I always remember that. You can buy rentals and stuff, and you say, "Oh, I'm on cash flow 300 a month." I found that that's usually not the case. It gets eat up with something. You got to put a heat pump in that year. You got to do, you go back and you look at your rental that year and say, "Oh, well, I thought I was going to make 3,600 this year, but I actually went in the hole 600 on the year." So what does those rentals do? They help you tax wise. They help you when you're doing your flips and you're doing those uh, short term money type deals where you're paying, big capital gains. That's where the flips come in, or that's where the long term rentals and the medium type rentals. That's where that stuff comes in. Is it really helps offset that money, and the appreciation that you get over the years is really where you find the most money in rentals and stuff like that is over the years, the 10-year plays and the appreciation and stuff like that. That's where I found most of the money in those businesses. Another thing that I recommend people do in the rental business is I like commercial rentals. I've been in the residential rental for 25 years. I've had apartment buildings, apartment complexes. I've done all that, and there's nothing better than a nice commercial property. Don't have a lot of interaction with the tenants, don't have a lot of problems, don't have a lot of maintenance. So contractor garages, small warehouse type properties, commercial buildings. I've got one place in Huntington that we have a restaurant in it. They've been there 11 years. I haven't been in a building in probably 6 years. So, those types of rentals tend to me to be a much better play for you over the long haul than buying a single family residence or a duplex or something like that. So I advise a lot of new people coming into the business that if I had to start over in the rental business, I would start in the commercial earlier, much earlier than what I did. So I always keep that in mind as well. So we just want to throw a few things out there, and every time we do these Zoom calls, we're going to try to keep a little bit of an agenda and some things to talk about, and then kind of open the floor up to you guys and see if you have any questions or anything we can help you with. So fire away.
I got a question for you, David.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead.
me being a residential guy, I've dealt with mostly residential properties through my whole
Okay.
time doing this, right?
Mhm.
I know how to evaluate a commercial, but for those who don't, like, what is the difference there? Like, what are we looking at when I'm looking at a residential house for a landlord that's going to rent it to someone who's going to live there versus a commercial tenant?
Well, commercial tenants, basically, when you're buying commercial property, it's all about the numbers. I mean, there's nothing else involved in that. It's purely a numbers play. You know how you'll see this as you move along in this business. People say, "Oh, well, the house is renting for 600, but I should rent it for 900, but I'm not. But it's worth that." Well, in the commercial game, it don't work that way.
Right.
You specifically on the numbers and the numbers only. So that's why I like the commercial side of things a little bit more. Is it's purely a numbers play. The people that's selling it understands numbers, and the people that's buying it. And if you're doing any lending in between, it's all a numbers play, and there's not a lot of emotional attachment or anything like that to any of those types of deals. So, you know, but there's a lot of different factors and ratios and stuff that you buy on, and I don't know if we want to get into that, but if anybody wants to know more about it, please reach out to me. I'll be glad to talk to you at any time. Um, and I'll talk to you a little more about the best way to evaluate a commercial property.
Do we're talking about fast money, medium money, slow money. So for somebody just getting started, we're not saying, right, like go ahead and start doing all this at once, right? Like you got to kind of start with fast and then work your medium and then to grow to that slow money, right? Like we shouldn't just start with slow money and then focus on fast later, right?
No, no, I wouldn't start out in the rental business. I mean, that's a tough business. Start out, make some money, get you a little bit of money, and maybe the rental business may be 2 years before you buy your first rental, 3 years, 5 years, just whatever your timeline is. But I'm just saying, you got to play in all three arenas, particularly if you're in the smaller markets. You got to play in all three arenas at some point if you want to sustain a career in this business. If you want to make it over the long haul, you want to make it 20, 25, 30 years doing this, then you've got to be more than kind of a one-trick pony. You got to be able to do multiple, I always call it, you got to have like the Batman belt, you got to have all the different tools and you got to be able to do different things. And the longer you're in this business, the more you'll learn different techniques and you'll kind of develop your own way of doing things sometimes. And, you may find creative finance deals are a better option for you that you run into more of them. Sub two, uh, installment land contracts. There's a host of different ways out there to buy properties. And for younger people, like most of the people on here, you've got a lot of older property owners that's looking to do something with their properties and they're willing to do stuff in a creative way. So even people with bigger rental portfolios, commercial buildings, they're willing to do things for you. They're willing if you've got a decent down payment that you can put some skin in the game. They're willing to carry some financing, maybe short term. They might only do 3 years, but that's your in. You get in, you get 3 years worth of rental history. It's much easier to go out there and qualify and get a loan or whatever you're trying to do with it. So.
What if you're older, David? What if you're not younger and you're older trying to get this going? Is it different?
No, I mean it's still the basics, but if I'm 56, so I've been in the business a long time doing these types of things. But if I tried to start out today in the business, I don't know that a lot of long-term rental would be my play. I would focus more on fix and flips, trying to make larger sums of money, and I do some private lending, so I like doing stuff like that. I would look at doing some joint venture type stuff. I like to do owner finance, so I do a lot of properties like that as well. So you know, so there's a lot of different ways. True, the most passive way to make money in this business. Rentals are not passive. So number one, everybody needs to understand that today. Rentals are not passive, anything but passive. But I do like owner finance. Owner finance to me, where I carry a note and all that, and I put the property into the buyer's name. It's a true finance type deal. I do like those types of deals. I feel like that's about as passive as you can make a deal. Is hey, send my payment. Uh, you know, Toilet fell through the floor. It's not my problem. Don't call me. I need my payment. That's more passive. And as I've moved along through the years, I tend to lean a little more towards the passive stuff like that. I like those sort of things.
So what's your favorite way? Because there's many different ways to structure these, owner finance. Like you said, here in West Virginia, we do a lot of land contracts.
Yes.
Personally, for you, what is your favorite way to structure the owner finance deals to protect you and the seller?
The best way to structure it is if you have one that's paid for completely. I like to do in West Virginia, we do a deed of trust and promissory note. So the property comes out of my name, goes into your name. I'm not responsible for your taxes. I'm not responsible for your insurance. I'm just the lien holder. I'm playing bank. I set the payments up automatic. They're automated payments. I don't touch it. I don't fool with it. Now, the only thing that I have to keep up with, make sure that the payments are made every month and make sure that the insurance is paid and the taxes are paid. Now, what we try to do is we try to set those up in an escrow type, scenario where everything's being paid at one time. But
So you're not doing this on the kitchen table, right? Like when you do
no,
these,
no,
you go
no.
through attorneys or title
Yeah,
companies.
yeah. Everything's done to attorneys. I make them have a title search done. Even though I own it, I make them do a title search and do the whole 9 yards and actually play bank on the back end. Now, sometimes I do some installment land contracts with people. Um, the downside of installment land contracts is the property still in your name. It's a positive and a negative. Um, and you have to collect the money and the insurance and the taxes and stuff like that still in your name. So
Okay,
it
so
it it involves you a little more. You have to be more proactive in the deal than when you do a true finance deal.
so owner finance deal, David's the owner, you work it out with me, I'm buying it from you. I get on the deed, right? Land contract, David stays on the deed.
Right.
Right, okay. Just
Right.
wanted to
Two
make
two
that
different types of things. Yeah. Yeah.
because people hear sub two all the time too and owner finance and it's like a sexy thing. Everybody wants to do it. So, I know it's complicating. So do you think somebody just starting out should do that?
No. No, I don't. I think sub two is they can be a complex deal. There's a lot of ways to get to the sub two type thing. You hear people out here that are talking about using land trusts and using all these different things, and you got to be careful with that stuff. I mean, once again, I'm not an attorney, but I'm a real estate broker, and it can be tricky. So I always say a deal is only as good as the people that's involved. So you can do land trust. Yeah, you can do sub twos with lease options, installment sale contracts. There's some other ways to do sub two type deals. You don't have to try to put the property into a trust and the owner is the beneficiary. And then once you do that, then you switch it them from the beneficiary, take them off the beneficiary, make yourself the beneficiary. That's the way a lot of sub twos are being taught out there. And, you know, that can be a bit tricky if you ever get taken to task on it. So, but there's other ways. There's other ways to do things. So I wouldn't do that to start with. I would try to make fast money, get some money in the bank, get some money in my pocket, have a bit of a cushion to work off of. And then if I done any kind of creative finance, I would want something maybe put into my name, like a true owner finance type deal, make a down payment, put it in your name and then work the deal like that. That's an actual deal that if you get in some sort of trouble or anything that's going on, you can go to a bank, you can finance it out. You have control of the property. So that's what I would recommend more early on in the deal. Now, once you're doing lots of deals and you got money and you can fall back on, you can do a lot more creative stuff. So I hope that helps a little bit.
Matt, you got a question?
I I I do not have a question. I'm sorry, but I made a mistake and I have to get on the Zoom call with our team, with
You're good,
everybody
man.
that's on our team, and I didn't even realize that until just now. So if for some reason does this go until 4 or until 3?
Still three.
Three.
Okay. I'm really sorry because I know nothing about this and I want to learn, but I gotta go. I'm sorry.
Just ask me for the recording. I'll get it to you.
Yeah. Can you email it to the one I sent you?
Yeah, man. Good. Thanks
Okay.
for coming.
All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Later,
All
bro.
right. Okay, so anybody have any questions about what we're talking about here in creative finance, short term, short money, fast money?
I got another question. I know I'm talking more than anybody, but I have a question for you. So, I like fast money, medium money, and slow money. So, how can we be creative as deal makers, deal creators, deal finders to try to work a deal where we can maybe create that off of one deal? Like I know a guy down south where he does mobile homes, and he was telling me how he bought 5 acres and he subdivided those 5 acres into 1 acre. Then he sold 1 acre for the price that he bought it for. So that's fast money. Then he
Mhm.
took another one and wholesaled it, and that was more fast money. Then he
Mhm.
had four more lots, so then he was able to do a lease option on one or something. Then he put two mobile homes on the other one. So he created one deal that made fast money, medium money, and slow money off of one deal.
Yeah.
How can we be creative like that? Like, can you do more than just land? Like what other advice could you give, David? Can you think of any ideas?
Yeah, there's all kinds of ways out there. You can structure stuff through vacant land. One of the first deals that I ever done, I bought like 26 acres in this is kind of my first side of creative. So I bought this tract of property. It was like 26 acres, and it was in rural West Virginia. And I want to tell you this: the stuff that we talk about, it's actually stuff that we're doing, and we're doing it in West Virginia, which is one of the poorest markets, in the country. So we feel like what we're doing here, if we can do it here, this stuff should work anywhere. Okay. We also have one of the oldest populations in the country. I think we kind of trade places with Florida every now and then. I think Florida's back to number one or number two in West Virginia. But so that's what we work with here in our market. And so we have to be creative and be able to do a lot of different things and do a lot of different things well. But I bought a 26-acre piece of property, subdivided it, sold off a few pieces of property up front, got the place paid for, done owner finance on the rest of the lots. I think we made about 11 lots out of it and done owner finance, carried those notes for years. Man, those things paid me for years. So I made short-term money, I made long-term money, made some medium money. I foreclosed on a couple of those lots of people who didn't finish paying me, took it back, took a down payment, resold them again. So I get excited about doing financing. I love to do financing because there's a lot of good things that come from financing. It puts you in a good position. Uh, you can buy the property, finance it off. Lots of times people will pay you on an average of 3 years, 3 to 5 years. You get the property back. You take another down payment. You sell it again. I've sold properties 5, 6, 7 times
The
over
same
the course of,
property, is what you're saying?
yeah, same property, sold it 5, 6 times over 12, 15 years. So
Wow.
you can create a long-term cash flow out of a very cheap piece of property. Um, I bought a piece of property in a place called Del Barton, West Virginia, years ago. Paid like $6,500 for this place. I mean, it looked like a meteor had hit it, and I financed it. Some people financed it. I took 2,000 down, 350 a month back then. I think it was 8% interest. They done work on it, fixed it up, lived there 4 or 5 years. Uh, they moved out, couldn't pay for it, moved to North Carolina. I took it back, done another down payment, financed it. They worked on it. So over the course of about 5 or 6 years, they worked on it. The house, turned into a pretty nice house. But I think all total, I financed that property over a course of about 14 years and sold it 5 times and made money all the way through. And then the last people paid me off on it. So that's something to think about when you're in this business is if you can buy an affordable or a cheap property and do some financing, you'll be amazed at how much money you can make off one little, let's say one lot that you can buy for $15,000 and pay cash for it. And man, you can turn that thing into a lot of money over the course of many years. So and some of you may be in markets, you say, man, there's no land for $15,000. I get it. Some of you are in markets where, but in the small markets and places we're in, sometimes we can find properties like that that we can finance and do those things. So it's just something to think about. And that's mailbox money. You don't have to do anything for it. It shows up. You don't have no responsibility. You're not out here tenants and toilets and the police calling you in the middle of the night fire department calling you. I've had rentals burn. I've had houses next door to mine burn and catch mine on fire. I mean, I've been through all that. I've had all those calls in the middle of the night over the years. So, it's crazy stuff. So that's why I like the financing side.
Well,
And I like to finance land. How much can go wrong with the land, right? So I like land. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind is if you see some lots out there or something that you may be able to do some financing like that. And trust me, no problem selling it. You put that thing, let's say you buy a $20,000 lot. You put that thing out there, 4 or 5 thousand down, 450, 500 a month, and your phone will ring for days. I mean, your Facebook will blow up, whatever you want to do. I mean, there's tons of people out there looking for that type of deal. So, any
anybody have
questions?
questions or want to talk?
What's it look like, seller financing the property yourself from the owner? They own the property outright, let's say, and then you turn around and seller finance it directly back to someone else.
Mhm.
What's the structure like on that look like?
So you're talking about a wraparound kind of?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've done some of those, and those are good, and you can make money on them, Jared. The downside is it keeps you in the deal.
Yeah.
So you stay in the deal. So I've done a little bit of that, and I've taken financing from the owner and then financed it to somebody on the other end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in between, but the owner is always going to call you
Yeah.
about any issue. So when you finance it off to these people and they're doing something stupid on the property, or they're not taking care of the property, or the grass has grown up to their waist, or there's garbage piled up, and the city is calling your underlying owner, and you're in between. So that's the downside of that type of structure is it keeps you in the deal, and and sometimes I done a deal like that in Charleston where I took it. I was in the middle. I financed it to a guy that I trusted, and then he rented it and put somebody else in it, and the tenants were just terrible. And so it was constant, back and forth, and the underlying owners calling me, going, the city's calling me, man, and they're upset, and the city's calling me, and the grass is too high, and the city's calling me, and there's garbage piled up, and the police were there last night, and it was like, oh my gosh. So I created a lot of problems there for myself by doing it that way. So what I done is once I got the property back, I paid off the underlying owner, made him whole, then I took it and financed it myself after that. So
you think it's better to just buy it outright if you can instead of seller financing it and then turn around seller financing it again?
it is if you can afford it.
Yeah.
Sometimes to make money and cash flow and stuff, sometimes you got to do those types of deals. Now you guys are younger and you all got better stomachs for that after you've done it and been in the middle of those deals all your life. I tend not to, I just want to pay the people off and get them out of my life. And, that's where I'm at my age, but I used to do those deals all the time where I would wrap around and sell it to somebody else. But you're still responsible for the maintenance and the upkeep. And you could say, oh, well, it's in the contract. They're responsible. Well, good luck on that. Good luck with your contract because it ain't going to hold any water. The seller is going to hold you 100% responsible for everything that happens on that property the whole time.
Wouldn't you say if you're going to do wraps, right? You're going to do them and you are going to take on that type of deal. Wouldn't you say it's better to make sure, for one, you do a title search on every one, right? You do your title search and maybe stay at a minimum. Like maybe stay at like, hey, I'm going to do this many, like maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 max, and then get these out of the way, and then maybe add on. Like, because, we know, Jared, too, we know guys that's had hundreds of these and, it can become a mess.
Oh,
Yeah, I've got friends that's done them and they've had hundreds. And the whole time I'm telling them, guys, you're screwing this up. Man, this is a disaster waiting to happen. The house you just took on is a disaster. So if you had a house that you want to do a wrap on, number one, make sure it's a good underlying seller as best you can. Make sure that the property is in really good shape. It's got a good roof. It's got good bones. It's got good systems because you're going to sell it, in the wrap and the people with the wrap is not going to take care of it. Some will, a lot of them won't. So if the roof springs a leak or something's going on, they're not going to do it. And the house is going to leak and you're going to get mold and the ceiling's going to fall in, all these things I've had happen. So just understand that when you get into those type of deals. Now, if you get a quality buyer on the end of the deal, it's a great, it works out pretty well. But what I would suggest is if you do these deals, do them over the short term. Do them with the seller and say, I'll finance you out in 3 years. Get them out of the deal because here's what happens. When you do the deal with the seller, they jet. I've had deals like this and they're gone and you lose track of them. And they move from West Virginia and they move to Florida. And then they move from Florida and they're in Nevada. I can't even find them anymore trying to deal with them. So always remember that. So try to do short term, 2 or 3 years, get them out of the deal. And then you still got your underlying note over here with whoever you finance it to. So and I wouldn't do a bunch of them. Like you say, I would do 2 or 3 a year, keep that cash flow going, putting that money back, paying them off, getting rid of the seller underneath. And then, I would do them that way because you'll live a lot longer, if you do, because there's a lot of problems out there. And another little tip that I'll give you too is when you finance something to somebody, and I don't know if Eric's still on here or not, but when you finance something to somebody, what I do in West Virginia is I do what's called a quit claim deed. It's a quit claim deed. At the closing, when I do the wrap and finance it, I have them sign that quit claim deed on the spot that day. And I've had my attorney and stuff say, that's stupid. I don't know why you do that. And I'm like, just watch. All of a sudden I find out I go buy my property that I financed these people 3 years ago. Well, there's nobody there. The place is empty. Where are they? I don't know. I can't find them. They're gone. They moved out in the middle of the night, can't pay me. I'm putting pressure on them to get my money. They can't pay me. They're gone. So now what? Well, they got a cloud on the title. So, so now they got my property tied up. With that quit claim deed, I have it signed, notarized. When they're gone and they leave in the middle of the night, I go to the courthouse, have the quit claim deed recorded, boom, they're gone. They're off my title. And I'm not chasing them to North Carolina. I'm not chasing them out west, trying to get them served, trying to get stuff done, costing me all kinds of money. So you can get that quit claim deed signed up front because when you sign a deal, everybody's huggy, touchy, feely. Everybody feels good. Everybody's going to do what they said. Everybody's going to pay you. So get it signed up front. Protect yourself. That's the best advice you'll ever get when you're doing owner financing. I'll guarantee it. One of these days you'll talk about that guy told you to do that because it works wonders. It works wonders. And now my attorneys go, oh man, boy, that was smart. I'm like, well, I've been through this. People leaving them, they won't tell you. They will move out of your property and not say anything to you. They're gone. And you don't know where they're at. You can't find them.
Happens
So,
happens with sellers too. Like I was involved in one deal. The seller
yeah,
disappeared and nobody could find him. And then the buyers were ready to refinance and nobody could get a hold of the seller to sign off on the wrap deal.
yeah.
And I don't know what happened with that, honestly. So that's
That's
crazy.
why you do short term on wraps is because the underlying sellers, they go in the wind. I've had them pass away. There's all kinds of stuff can happen.
So what
So,
happens in that situation if someone passes away or, as long as you have this quit claim deed, then you can get the title in your name. I mean, how would all
well,
that, there would
if
still be a probate, I'm assuming, in some cases. And
yeah, if it's somebody that I financed to, yes, I still got the quick claim, but they would still have an estate and their family or whoever their personal representative is for their estate could pay the property off and get it.
so
You
they
know,
could take it from you even if you have equity in it and you've had it, or how would
well,
that?
Okay, if it's the seller side that's selling it to you,
Yeah.
okay, then you've got a cloud on title and stuff. So I mean, that's just part of their estate.
Yeah.
So you can continue to pay them and pay whoever in the estate and whatever. So that really wouldn't change.
What if there's no one in for the like they don't have anybody to leave anything to? What happens there?
Well, in a situation like that, I don't know. I've never had one do that, Jared. So I would
I
have
was
to.
just curious.
Yeah, I've never had one where there wasn't an heir or somebody that in the family that would take it over. But I have had people pass away through the years. That's short term, do 3 years, get it financed, finance them out, get your loan, finance them out. Get them out of the deal because they will go in the wind on you. Okay, they will go in the wind, and you do have a cloud on the title if it's like if they're financing to you. Let's say they owe money on the property and they finance it to you on an installment land contract, and then you wrapped it in a lease option to so they still owe the underlying money. And there's also the risk of tax liens, okay, that can wipe you out on this type of deal. So that's all the types of things that you need to think about. Creative finance is good, but there's also some risk involved.
Yeah,
You know,
because it sounds really good. You can look at it like this. You could go out tomorrow and technically get a rental property, just with a piece of paper, talk to these people, no money down even necessarily. And then you could turn around and put someone else in it, seller finance. And it sounds easy, but these are the things that you don't, hear, the horror stories of stuff that can go wrong. It sounds good, but there's definitely some risk to it as well.
well, yeah, I'm not selling you a course.
Oh yeah, no, I know.
The gurus that sell the courses, sometimes they don't talk about because guys like us that's been in the business for a long time, we listen to their spiel and go, oh boy, I can punch that thing all full of holes. There's 1,000 things that can go wrong, and it's not quite as sexy as you may make it out to be. So that's why we're here, and I want to tell you all the good stuff, and I also want to tell you where all the landmines and the bear traps are setting for you because I've
Heck
stepped
yeah.
in them. You know, I've stepped in them. I've been there, and they're there for you. And it's usually you're dealing with people, and you know yourself if you're dealing with people, and you're dealing with people that owe you money. It's a different dynamic out there. But um, there is good ways to do it, and if you're smart and you know these little steps that you can do to protect yourself, creative finance is a great way to get started in this business. It's a great way to build a little bit of cash flow. It's a great way to build wealth over the long haul. So I heavily, heavily recommend it to everybody that's starting out. Like once you've been in the business for a little while, you're going to run across some deals that are good enough for you to do a finance deal on. Travis and I we signed a deal that what's that? How much we paying for that one house? 10,000?
15.
15.
Yeah.
You talk about a great finance deal. That's a great finance deal. So we're buying this property for 15. And I mean, think about all the things. This thing is livable. You can move in it today. Okay. It's a 1 bedroom, 1 bath. It's not great. It's got vinyl siding. It's got central heat and air. It's pretty good, man. So I can take that property, I can put it on the market at $50,000 and take 10,000 down, 7,500 down, put 8, 9% interest, or whatever the case might be. 10-year, 15-year finance, and that thing just, be on autopilot, man, and making some money. And you're pretty much going to get yourself out of it in the first year. This thing will be paid off. So that's something to think about too. When I do a lot of these finance deals, I try to buy stuff at a deal that's cheap enough to where I can take their down payment plus their monthly payments. And I want that to equal enough money to, like if I put it all towards the purchase of the property, it would pay itself off in 3 to 5 years. Okay. And if I do a 10-year note, 12-year note, 15-year note, I want 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years of just pure money. Because what I do early on is when I do these finances, if I bought something for, let's say, 25,000 or 30,000 or 50,000 or whatever it is, and I take my down payment, then I want my monthly payments to equal enough money to pay it off, if you understand what I'm saying. Um, so if I took 50,000, I took 10,000 down, I would want my payments over 5 years to equal $40,000. Okay, that way at the end of 5 years, technically I could be out of the property. That's kind of my way mentally that I try to set up a finance deal. And then if I do it on a 10-year note or a 12-year note or whatever it is, I get 5 years of free cash flow. Lots of times when I do these types of deals, 3 to 5 years is a default rate. Usually 3 years is when I get a default.
Why do you
And
think that is?
well, a lot of people are in love with the idea of buying a house, but then when it comes down to paying for it, maintaining it, doing all the things that's required to keep up a house, yard maintenance, city taxes, all the things that come along with it. I think, people find themselves in trouble. Sometimes they find themselves, I see medical bills. I see life events that happen to people that they didn't expect. They lose jobs, divorce. And when you're financing to people and it's a divorce or it's something like that, it's people are a little more serious when it's a bank, but when it's you, they don't think too much about it. We're going through a divorce, husband left, boom, I'm gone. They leave in the middle of the night. So don't worry too much about it because it's not a bank. And they think, well, they're not going to hit my credit too bad or anything, so it's a private loan. So so usually I see in 3 to 5 years that we'll get a default on an owner finance like that.
Cool.
So and if you go into that business and you try to do this type of business, expect it. Don't be blindsided by it. Expect it. I would see these deals. I've done so many of them. They get about 32 months in, 34, and all of a sudden the payments start getting later, month late, 2 months. I'm like, okay, well, here we go. I have to take it back, foreclose on it, whatever. I usually talk to them, discuss it with them. I'm hands-on. I don't, I call them up, and then we take it back. We take another down payment. We do it again and again and again. However long it takes. So it can actually, sometimes these other finance deals can be a virtual ATM machine over the long haul.
So once you start, your fast money, your JVs, your wholesaling, your quick flips, and you start building that momentum, and
Mhm.
you can start cherry picking these ones to take on terms, and then you can start building that, some slow money. But you're
Yeah.
also getting some fast money too because you're getting your down payment,
Get
right?
your down payment up front. You get your monthly payments.
Yeah.
You know, and uh, my dad told me years ago. He said, "Son," he said, "if you're going to make money," he said, "put yourself in a position where people have to go to work every day to pay you." He said, "If you set yourself up like that, you're going to be all right." He said, "The bank's got to figure it out." He's a simple guy, didn't graduate high school, but he understood things, and he would always give me those simple lessons. Make people go to work to pay you every day. I said, "Okay, well, it makes sense. We can do that." And so that's kind of what I've worked towards through the years, is doing those types of things. You know, but being a real estate broker, I had the benefit of seeing a lot of different deal structures and seeing other investors do different things, and I would watch and see those deals and go, man, I can do that. If they can do it, I can do it. And so I would do the same thing. I would just try to copy what they're doing.
Okay.
And this kind of evolves over the last 20, 25 years of doing them. Yeah.
Cool.
So, any questions, you guys? I know I've kind of rambled on here. I don't know how long I've been going, but fire away. That's kind of my thing, is creative finance, structuring deals, I call it being a mechanic. If you're going to be in this business, you need to be a good mechanic, and you need to be able to structure and repair and fix and put the pieces together to make a deal right. And you got to make a win-win. As they say in the deal business, too sharp don't cut. Okay. So remember that, too sharp don't cut. So if you make a deal that's so one-sided for yourself, that deal is never going to hold water. that deal will fall through each and every time. So make sure when you're doing these deals that there's some meat on the other side for the people you're doing it with. Okay, like the underlying seller or who, make sure that their needs are kind of met too. That's part of making a good deal. And that's part of keeping good people in a deal over the long haul, is making solid deals like that, that it's, you're not extorting people for crazy interest rates and all these different things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Thank, thanks for giving us all that knowledge, man. That was a lot of good value. Next week we are going to have Jen Way on. Jen Way is like one of the best salespeople that I've ever came across on acquisitions, besides myself. But she's really good, and she's going to come on here and she's going to give you guys all of her secrets on how she can take the sales call and lower the pressure for people and get them to open up to you. I'm really looking forward to it because this girl she's amazing. She lives in Colorado and she lives on a farm. So her and her family did a creative, I think it was creative. She'll tell us about it, where they found a farm and they pretty much rehabbed this farm to like live on it. So like she'll go out in the morning and milk cows and then come home and close deals. Like she's crazy, I'm telling you. But it'll be next week, Wednesday, 2 p.m., just like this week. So I hope you guys can come. I'll let David. I just wanted to jump in before David said bye to you guys, and I really do appreciate everybody coming on here and connecting with us. And I hope everybody has a happy Thanksgiving. If I could invite you to my house and have a big turkey, I would.
Uh, Also, I want to throw this out there too. If you're doing owner finance, and talking about being a deal mechanic, I've taken all kinds of stuff as down payments. So I've taken cars as down payments. I took a boat one time as a down payment. I've taken a camper as a down payment. I've taken all kinds of stuff as down payments. So keep that in mind too. Here a while back, I had a little bit of a deal, and I've been looking to get a new side by side, and I was trying to trade as a side by side for a down payment. So the sky's the limit when you get into these creative finance type deals. I've taken guns through the years. It's just all kinds of stuff like that. So anyway, if there's no questions, anybody got a question, anything?
I know where you guys got something planned for next week, but maybe just going over a deal, like an actual structured deal. Maybe you guys are working or somebody in the group's got, and we can actually walk through. I think that would be pretty cool just to see, some of the details of it,
Okay.
see some
Okay.
action.
Yeah, would be great. I mean, Travis and I, we got what, 6 or 7 going right now.
Yeah.
And we'd be glad to walk through a couple of deals.
yeah.
That we're doing. And these are actual deals that we're doing. And I mean, we're pants down. We'll show you anything you want to know, however you want to know it. Speak direct to you. We'll tell you exactly what we got going. So if anybody has any questions, you can reach out to me. And I want to remind everybody, we have a YouTube channel. It's Small Market REI. That we got some videos on there too that you can go on and take a look. And if you wouldn't care, shout us out in your groups, shout our group out in some other groups, and maybe help us out a little bit. We're trying to get a few more members. And you can find me on social media at Coach Buys Homes. Coach Buys Homes, HOMES. Yeah. Coach Buys Homes, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. So I got some videos on there too. And there's some creative finance stuff. So it's all free. Just, if you can watch it, maybe something might help you, might spur a question you want to ask, reach out and be glad to talk to you.
He's been
And I thank
guys,
everybody for coming.
he's been
And
putting a lot of time in. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I got to tell people like he's been putting in work with this content on his flips. He's got him a GoPro that he's got attached to his head. I mean, he's going all in. So you guys got to watch it. I've watched it and I'm learning a lot. So I appreciate you.
well, you put that GoPro on, man, and I watched some. I'm like, do you think people are really interested in that? I mean, the
Get you
conversation.
some of those Ray-Ban Metas. I got some of them.
Yeah,
They're
it's
pretty
like,
cool.
man, yeah. Are they really interested in me talking to the HVAC guys about a 410? And I mean, is that
It's all
so?
the little things though, like most people can go on the internet and look up a real estate deal process, but being able to see all the ins and outs, the people you got to talk to, the contracts you need, where you're sending them to, that kind of thing. That's the stuff that people are like, "What the hell do I even do?" You know.
Yeah. Well, I've been doing that. So every day I've been wearing a GoPro, and every contractor I'm talking to and all the deals we're doing, I'm trying to film, and they're like, what the hell is that? What are you? And I'm like, I'm filming, man. I got. And so they're like, oh, I'm gonna be on like YouTube. I'm like, yeah, maybe, so yeah, my guys are kind of getting used to me wearing it around a little bit. But anyway, happy Thanksgiving. We're grateful that you guys are sharing time with us. And Travis and I sincerely, if we can help you in any way, we're all yours. Give us a call. Reach out to us. Thank
You
you.
guys are awesome. Thank you, guys.
Y'all have a good
Happy
one.
Thanksgiving,
I
everybody.
appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
Thank you.